Jeffrey Sachs, as we look at the negotiations that are likely to take shape, and President Trump, pardon my language, saying last night at a dinner that leaders are calling him up and, in his words, to kiss my ass.
No, it's not your language,
it's
his
it's not my language, it's his
right.
language, and I want to be clear about that. And I'm trying to look at this from the perspective of countries that are trying to negotiate agreements with the U.S., including countries like India. What should we be mindful of?
Don't trust that there's going to be some breakthrough. India's vision is, well, the U.S. hates China, so India will, in a way, replace China in the value chains. Companies like Apple or others who are investing heavily in India, they'll produce in India rather than producing in China, and they'll export to the United States. Don't count on it. It sounds plausible, but Donald Trump's idea is to stop international value chains, period. He says, of course, he's an economic illiterate, but he says that we're going to bring all of that production back home, that the hollowing out of American industry has to end. So his idea, yes, he hates China. He wants to confront China. But his idea is not that India is going to be a massive supplier to the United States, because if that were to happen, and it could very well happen in an open trading regime, the U.S. would turn on India exactly the same way.
So don't take the relationship for granted.
Don't even expect there to be an agreement this fall. By all means.
The External Affairs Minister, who was speaking at the summit this morning, said that we've had more engagement with the U.S. in the last few weeks than we've had with the EU in the last few years. He, in fact, went so far as to say that he doesn't see a reason why an agreement can't be in place before fall. You're suggesting that don't expect that to be the case.
I'm not disputing his optimism. I'm just saying don't count on this. The U.S. is in turmoil. The U.S. Has been likened to China's Cultural Revolution in the 1960s. We are in a cultural revolution right now. We are in a political meltdown right now. Very odd, sounds weird. The United States doesn't exactly give that image, but remember that what's happening is not based on law. It's not based on congressional action. It's not based on public debate. It's not based on public policy. This is a one-man show right now. Weird for us, by the way. We don't have one-person rule in the United States. But people can go online. It's quite interesting and a little frightening to read the executive order which launched this trade war a few days ago. Says, by the powers invested in me as President of the United States, and then it lists 3 emergency actions. I declare an emergency. Are you kidding? I might expect that of some tin pot dictatorship. I don't want to insult the tin. It's crazy that the United States acts this way. A $30 trillion economy. And one person stands up by the emergency powers vested in me. This also has a term that I can't use in polite company, but it is nonsense. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional, not only reckless. It is completely against our laws and our Constitution. Whether that matters or not, I don't know. Are the courts going to stand up, or are they going to?
What about Congress?
Congress is pathetic right now. The problem is Donald Trump came back into office in a system that was already so corrupt that it's brittle. Why corrupt? Because the 2024 elections had $16 billion changing hands, visibly. We're a corrupt political system based on large campaign donations or contributions, so-called, that are legal, but is nothing but corruption. Who bought this government? Elon and his friends in Silicon Valley and some of the Wall Street people. Maybe they have purchasers regret right now, but they bought this election. They paid for it fair and square. They think they own this government. Maybe they don't really own the government, but the politics are deeply corrupt. So all Congress people care about is their donors. Now, if their donors, by the way, tell them we got a crazy guy making all of these crazy emergency decrees and this has to stop, it's possible that Congress will come back to life. But it's been a doormat up until now. The president is taking congressional authority. Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution says that tariffs are a congressional responsibility. If you look at Article 2, which defines the president's responsibilities, believe me, it doesn't say that the president can set duties or tariffs or taxes. We had a whole revolution against England on this exact basis, that no one person could set taxation. But Congress has been completely a doormat up until now. Maybe their donors will start to tell them, we don't like one-person rule, in which case we'll start seeing some congressmen act.
Well, you know, Democrat Senator Ron Wyden has said that he would push for a vote on the issue of tariffs. So do you believe that that could be possibly the pause, the speed breaker in the kind of action that we're seeing?
There are several possible speed breakers. One is that the courts could just declare this is completely unconstitutional, which it is, by the way. Yes, a president can have emergency powers if there's a Category 5 hurricane, if there's a massive forest fire, if the United States is under military attack or terrorist attack, not for 20 years of trade deficit. Sorry, that's not an emergency. That is an economic condition. It's not an emergency. So what Trump has done is plainly illegal. And there are some lawsuits starting, and we don't know whether the judges, many of whom have been appointed by Trump, are going to follow through. So that's one possible break. The second possible break is Congress itself. We already saw 3 Republican senators side with the Democrats to vote against the tariffs on Canada, because these senators in the Republican side had some particular interests in the Canadian-U.S. trade. But it's a sign that already in the Senate side, at least, there's a break. Congress is much more pathetic. These people who go every 2 years for elections, they're really corrupted and pathetic. But maybe on the House side, which is crucial in this, there are only a few votes on the Republican side, and maybe there are a few honest Republicans who will say we don't want the whole economy to come crashing down. That's another possible break. The next possible break, by the way, is I doubt that there's a single advisor around Trump who really believes in this, other than one crazy guy named Peter Navarro. Other than that, I don't think the Treasury Secretary believes in this at all. Most of the advisors know that this is completely shambolic and reckless. They're making excuses. You know, it's very hard to contradict the boss in general, but it's very hard to contradict Trump in particular. But Elon Musk, you know, he was our prime minister, at least for the first 3 months of the year. He's saying that it makes no sense. We should have
a very public spat with Peter Navarro.
Zero for zero. I don't know how much longer Musk is going to last in Washington. He's going to go back to SpaceX and Tesla, I'm pretty sure, pretty quickly. But inside, everybody knows this is reckless, but nobody tells the boss. This is the emperor has no clothes. I hate the image, but anyway, this is really the situation right now. They're all afraid, but maybe something will prevail inside.
As we wait for some of these scenarios to play themselves out, if at all they do, I want to come back to your point that you were making on India, to say that we must not take the U.S. friendship or the relationship for granted, especially as India has its own aspirations of making India. It is poised to be the 3rd largest economy. And I go back again to the negotiating table, because the agreement is at this stage in conversation between both sides. What should be the red lines from the India perspective?
One overarching point, don't be played by the United States. Don't get into the rhetoric, by the way, which some politicians are using here, that, in fact, some politician said in India recently, this is China's fault. My God, don't fall into that trap. Don't do with Trump the words you used, to use that kind of rhetoric to divide India's role in the world, to play the game of Trump, to believe you're going to have some special relationship with Trump. There are no special relationships with Trump. Trump has one great love, Donald Trump. No other. And India is not going to be a competing suitor for that. India, and I know this is quite unpopular in India, but it's really true. India really needs normal relations with China. And India should appreciate this is a great civilization, and this is a country that's going to play a huge role in the world in the 21st century. I mean, a huge role in the world on all sorts of things, on culture, on economy, on technology, on global peace, an enormous role. India should play that role respectfully and carefully, and that means good relations with China. It means good relations with Russia. It means good relations with Europe. It means good relations with Africa. Yes, have good relations with the U.S., but don't be played by the U.S. Don't be anti-China because that makes the U.S. feel so good and speeds your agreement. And purely on the economic side, the hostility now inside India to dealing with China in trade is not beneficial for India. India is on the cusp of huge advances in technology, but that's not against China. China-India tie-ups in different sectors would be hugely beneficial here and for China as well. And so the whole idea that this is an enemy on this side and America's the friend on the other side, that's the main thing that I'm really warning against. The second thing that I want to warn against is, by all means, try to negotiate, but don't be surprised if it doesn't work, and don't count on it. Look for multiple options. Don't think that the rescue point is we cut the deal with the U.S. Maybe yes. I think likely no. Maybe I'll be proved wrong, and I'll be happy if I'm proved wrong, but don't count on it. Make a multilateral trading arrangement, promote trade with the rest of the world, including China, including Russia. Don't let the United States say, no, that one's against. That's a sanction. Don't trade with Iran. Don't trade with Russia. India's been very good at that in the last year. Also, as a footnote, India's a little bit been dragging its feet inside the BRICS, saying, this alternative payments mechanisms, we don't want to get into that. The Americans don't like it. We'll keep with the dollar and so forth. That's another related area where India should understand, be careful. Don't depend on the dollar. The rupee should be an international currency. The renminbi should be an international currency. The BRICS should have multi-currency payments mechanisms. The BRICS should not be vulnerable to U.S. unilateral sanctions, which are plainly illegal and plainly destructive. So my main point is India should be a great power, and it should act like one, not taking sides, but rather saying we need a global order and global peace.
Well, Jeffrey Sachs, before I let you go, Donald Trump has come up with a new term, the panican. So, I would imagine that you would be squarely put in that camp by him. Are you not concerned about the fact that you're very vocally criticizing the Trump administration's policies?
Look, the world is 8 billion people. We've got a lot of challenges. We can't have one person rule in the world, in my country, period. We've had one of my students dragged off out of his house a couple of weeks ago by unmarked police, so-called, without a judicial warrant. And this student is still in detention in Louisiana. The courts haven't even issued a writ of habeas corpus yet. It's shocking to me. His wife is 8.5 months pregnant right now. We can't have one person rule in this world. We can't tolerate it. We can't play the game. We can't humor craziness. We have to be straightforward adults. This is my view of things.
Jeffrey Sachs, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV18. Appreciate your time, and we look forward to hearing more from you. This is a developing story, and it's not done by a long shot, so we look forward to hearing more from you on how this plays out. But thanks very much for joining us here.
Great to be with you
today. That's Jeffrey Sachs. We are going to take a break here, but there's a lot more coming up. Don't go anywhere. We're back in a moment with more.